Well, hi there. I'm Diana Monford, the world's first transgender television journalist. Born male, became female. Life is an illusion. Anyway, speaking of life and illusions, Trump, what to do about Trump. But anyway, my guest is transgender activist and Democratic politician, Ms. Joann Prinzivalli, whom you've seen on the show many times and hopefully will see again many times. She is director of NITRO, which stands for
New York Transgender Rights Organization.
And she is here, and we are going to talk about the menace known as Trump.
And his minions.
And his minions, his henchmen, his neo-Nazi slave boys who would destroy us all.
And they would. That's the worst part.
They would. They will try, but like roaches, we LGBTQ folk are forever.
You know, we should start with the good news because
there's good news?
There's good news,
What
yes.
is the good news?
The good news is that we live in New York.
Yes, but a lot of people watching
yes,
don't.
I know that's true. But if you live in New York or one of the other states that has protection, whether it's by law, yes, as in many other states, or by executive order, which is how we have it in New York by the governor, we can pee in peace.
Yes, referring to the bathroom law in North Carolina and Houston and other charmingly enlightened places.
Yeah, the states like North Carolina, they passed the bathroom bill, then they pretended to take it away so they can get the an NCAA tournament back, which they succeeded in doing, but they didn't really repeal the law. And in Texas, they're trying to make it worse. And in Alabama,
how can they make it worse?
Well, they basically want to make sure that you can't use any bathroom at all.
And then they arrest you for public urination.
Yes. And then in Alabama, they have a unique twist on religious freedom.
It's against my religion for you people to go pee in that bathroom. I'm real sorry.
Or to even do anything. Oh, if I'm a probate judge in Alabama or someone else who's supposed to be able to issue a marriage license, oh no, my religion doesn't allow it. I can't issue a marriage license.
My religion doesn't allow me to suffer bigotry. So there you go.
And if they keep it up, my religion doesn't allow me to pay taxes.
There you go. There you go. And so, what can we do about this?
Well, the first thing is that what's going on in these other states and nationally, the Obama administration's rule on transgender students was taken back. So you provide one executive order with one president, and the current administration takes it away. And the thing is that what to do is to organize.
Human rights are not partisan. These people are making it this way.
They are. But the thing to do is to organize, and not just within the transgender community or the LGBTQ community, but also with the various intersectionalities that we have, the African Americans, immigrants, women. Everybody is adversely affected.
Men who wear purple on alternate Tuesdays, yeah.
Yeah, everybody is adversely affected by what's going on. And the thing is that the people who are often hurt the worst are people who are vehement supporters of Donald Trump.
That's insane.
Like, for instance, with all this let's repeal Obamacare stuff.
Morons. Fools.
The counties population of the counties that voted for Trump are the ones that would be the
Affordable Care Act is the same as Obamacare. They intone incredulously. Yes, you jerks.
But that's the thing, and
the way Trump said, we're going to repeal Obamacare. This is a great gift. Jerks, fools. You'll be without medical insurance.
And what's worse is that if you have any kind of pre-existing condition, that's one of the things they're insisting on taking away.
Which is horrifying, and presumably transgender issues are pre-existing conditions.
Well, I knew I was trans when I was 4 years old.
There you go.
I didn't even know what trans was, but I knew I wasn't a boy.
Well, let me put it this way. Until I went to nursery school when I was 4, I didn't know I was a boy. I took it for granted I was a girl. And nothing has changed my mind since, so there you go.
So the thing is that with Trump running things, he's given free rein to the social conservative movement. So Mike Pence, the vice president,
Who is known homophobic.
Oh yeah, when he spoke back when he was in Congress, back in 2007 when they had the hearings on ENDA, he was awful. I remember writing about that on my blog years ago, quoting him, and people like Jim Sensenbrenner from Ohio or Wisconsin. I'm sorry, Wisconsin. And the thing is that these people have no idea. You know, I don't recall the name, but the Trump administration's candidate to become the Secretary of the Army was recently quoted as saying he wants to rescind the rule that allows transgender people to serve in the military because of how evil we are.
Why are we evil? Why does he think we're evil?
Oh, he thinks we're evil because in his version of the
mean
Bible,
Leviticus?
it's all
Yes.
no. It's his version of the Bible. There is no Book of Isaiah. There is no Gospel of Matthew, and there is no Acts of the Apostles. And Adam wasn't originally created male and female in his version of the Bible. They always point to Genesis chapter 1, verse 27 and say, "Oh, there's male and there's female. Where's this transgender thing?" But Adam, the original Adam, before they separated him out to become Adam and Eve, was Adam and Eve. He was both, he and she.
Two genders in one. And what about Buddhists? What about anyone who is not bibliocentric?
Yes.
Who does not believe in the Judeo-Christian ethic? And they only added Judeo because they got in real trouble with all the people who own the media, because they were used to say the Christian ethic. But that exposed their anti-Semitism too clearly, so now it's the Judeo-Christian ethic.
Yeah, and you say that so well.
Well, I used to be an actress, you know.
Yes.
Casting directors, But no, I was. But anyway, accent's my specialty. But eat your heart out, Meryl Streep. But anyway, I should be so lucky. Anyway, no, but this is crap. This whole politics thing is crap. It's all BS.
But getting involved, how do we do something about it? We need to get involved in the political process, in advocacy, in litigating.
Or you could become agoraphobic and never leave your house again. That works too.
That could conceivably be an interesting thing, but at least you could pee in peace.
The thing is, they might take your house away because we do not allow you transversal folks to live in our community. You'll be leaving now, thank you very much.
Oh, they'll just send us to camp.
Do you accept Jesus Christ as your personal Savior?
Well, I accept Jesus
Jesus
Christ.
saves, Moses invests. What?
I accept Jesus Christ, but I think he died a long time ago.
Yes, even before the war of northern aggression. Oh, dear.
Oh, my.
Yeah. But anyway, and full disclosure, my father was from the South. No, he was not a bigot. He married a Spanish woman, my mother. But anyway, You were saying.
So among the things that we have to do is organize, not alone, because it's like doing it all by ourselves is like holding up a single pencil. You can snap it in half really easy.
Yes.
Okay.
Divided we fall, united we stand.
Exactly. But if we get together with a whole bunch of other pencils and we're all tied together and we're united, it's very hard to break. You can't break it.
Yeah.
Not with your hands anyway.
No.
But the thing is that there are different avenues depending on writing to politicians, calling their offices, joining a political club.
Ann Northrup, who's the co-host of Gay USA, was here. And she told us that calls actually make more of a difference. Emails they skim through and don't really notice, whereas telephone calls, not only do they notice those, but they are recorded as you're speaking, so watch your language. And they do listen to telephone calls.
And it used to be that they would actually, a letter that was sent in the mail would be like goals.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, ever since they got afraid of anthrax, that doesn't work anymore. If you're going to send something in writing, it's best to fax.
Yes. So these extremes, this insane, most people in this country are not conservative. Even de Blasio, Mayor de Blasio here in New York, suddenly said, I'm going to raise cigarettes, the price of cigarettes, so people quit smoking. And people rightly say, well, then you're Bloomberg. I mean, you cannot do that. It is not your place to be the nanny state and tell people what they may or may not do. Power not only corrupts, it gives one a very fascist outlook, no matter how progressive the person.
The right wing does that. The left wing does that.
Well, de Blasio with his cigarette tax.
Exactly, and you have the situation with the right wing, where they want to do different things. They say, "Oh, states' rights," and then they say, "But wait a minute, we don't. If you want marijuana laws in your state, sorry, our new Justice Department is going to enforce the federal laws."
Yes.
With regard to marijuana,
which they will do with abortion too.
And the thing is, yes, well, that is what Mitch McConnell did last year when he destroyed the Senate. The way he did it was saying, we will not consider the appointment of Merrick Garland to the Supreme Court. He kept that seat open for an entire year so that he could use it to encourage conservatives to vote in the presidential election.
That should be illegal.
I know.
That should be completely, and I'm sure it is.
And so that they could, because if Trump or Cruz or whoever, it turned out to be Trump, was elected, then they could fill that already open seat with somebody like Neil Gorsuch, which they just did. And the thing is that even with that, in order to do that, they had to abolish the filibuster rule,
yes,
which now has made it impossible for any president in the future to make a Supreme Court appointment if the Senate is controlled by the other party.
Which they're destroying our country.
There will be the Supreme Court, you could have Supreme Court justices die, 3, 4, 5 of them. You have 3 members left on the Supreme Court. No one will allow the appointment of another justice unless the president and the Senate are controlled by the same party. This is a total destruction of the system of civility that would prevail in the Senate.
Yes, but it all began with allowing huge amounts of money to be contributed to a particular campaign, because that almost ensures that, you know, it's going to be a very right-wing, business-oriented Republican, because the only people who are, you know, Democratic and have a ton of money are the Hollywood people.
It's the dark money. It's the Citizens United case from the Supreme Court that allowed all this dark money to come in. And, you know, we are suffering for that. We're suffering because people listen to fake news and they act on fake news.
And alternate facts.
And alternate facts, yes. And the thing is that they do these things and they think that the real news is fake news because only liberals believe in it. So they create a situation where there are no facts and they can operate as they see fit.
Bernie Sanders called for a revolution. Do you foresee that in the near future?
Well, if they make things bad enough, it's going to happen, unfortunately. You know, during the Obama administration, right-wingers were afraid that Obama was going to come and take away their guns. They were afraid that Obama was going to set up re-education camps, none of which he was going to do, but it's the same kind of thing that when George W. Bush was in power, I was concerned, not really terribly concerned, but I was concerned that they were going to cancel the 2008 election because of a terror threat and just declare martial law and keep George W. Bush and Dick Cheney in charge. And I'm sure that towards the end of 2016, some very conservative people were feeling the same way about Obama. And, you know, the thing is that relatively speaking, compared to now, George W. Bush was practically a reasonable person.
And I was hoping that he was the worst president we'd ever have.
He's now the second worst.
You know, we have to do away with the Electoral College because they stole this election and they stole the 2000 Al Gore election. We have to, I don't care what it says in the Constitution, that's what amendments are for. Since Trump doesn't care, I don't care. We have to do away with the Electoral College and let the popular vote reign supreme. Otherwise, we are not a democratic nation. If the popular vote counts for nothing, it's a sham and we're not a democracy.
We need to eliminate gerrymandering as well, because you have situations where they can create a situation where you can only get a Republican majority
Yes.
in congressional seats and in state Senate and state assembly seats, depending on the state, by virtue of the fact that they'll take a small pocket of Democrats and put it into a large number of with a large number of Republicans, and then they'll create one opportunity district maybe to where they put 95% Democrats together in a little snake.
Now, you are, as far as I know, the only transgender district leader in New York State.
As far as I know, I know that there is a candidate for the town supervisor position in the town of Newcastle in Westchester County. Her name is Chrissy Browder.
Yes.
And she's a Democrat.
And as you know, Mel Wymore, a trans man, is running here in New York. And Melissa Sklarz and I were judicial delegates. I don't know if we still are. I know I'm not, but she might.
But the thing is that it's possible to do things like run for office. And the thing is, you expect that opponents will say, "Oh, this person can't be elected; they're trans." But that's not necessarily the case. We've elected trans people have been elected in other states. New York, you would figure it's possible too.
Wasn't the president or prime minister of New Zealand a trans woman years ago?
That I'm not sure of. I do know that there was a trans woman who was governor of New York back in colonial times.
Governor Hyde. Yes.
Yeah, there was the governor
who was the cousin of Queen Anne and used to dress as Queen Anne for meetings, saying that he was evoking her spirit.
Yes, and representing her.
Yes. Hey, it worked for a while. Then he got too enthusiastic. Do you like my new gown? And it was too much.
Well, no, what actually happened with him was that, or her.
Well, they had a revolution and they kicked them out. And they sold their goods at auction.
Right, but basically there was a financial scandal.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
Which is unfortunate.
Well, hey, dresses cost, you know. And all that French perfume and jewelry and everything. Mm-hmm. Lip rouge from Marie Antoinette's Parfumée.
No,
it's expensive. You know?
Of course.
But anyway. But my point is that they cannot they want the 50s again. White supremacy, gays in the closet, women home and pregnant. They can't do that. The genie is out of the bottle.
But they'll try. I mean,
what can we do about it?
Well, for starters, organize.
Yes,
right.
Stick together.
Work at getting people elected in 2018. And, the thing is, it's an uphill battle nationally. We have to take over the state legislatures first, because what happens is that the state legislatures decide on how the congressional districts are carved up. Mm-hmm. The state legislatures also create their own districts, and most state legislatures in this country are controlled by the Republicans. The Congress, both the House and the Senate, are controlled by Republicans, and most of the members of the Supreme Court are Republicans. And even in New York, which you think of as liberal New York, the state Senate, even though there are more Democrats than Republicans in the state Senate is controlled by Republicans because of a small number of Democrats who have decided that they're going to be independent and they're going to sit with the Republicans because this way they can have some little power of their own.
And not only that, but they get all those nice bribes under the table.
So the problem is that we can't get gender passed in New York, the Gender Expression Non-Discrimination Act, because of these Democrats who claim that they support gender, but then they will not insist that it go to a vote. They claim that they would support the single payer for the health care,
Yes.
which was in the budget bill.
And wonderful Richard N. Gottfried, Assemblymember Richard N. Gottfried sponsored it.
But they would, even though they were sponsors, they wouldn't vote for it because they're allied with the Republicans and they'll do what the
Do
Republicans
you have
tell
any
them.
names of these people?
Jeff Klein is one in the Bronx. There's Carlucci in Rockland County. Somebody in Staten Island.
Well, that doesn't cause
I
a
know,
huge
unfortunately,
surprise,
but the
yeah.
thing is that that these people are all, there's like 6 of them who are allied with the Republicans. They're mostly suburban, and because they're suburban, they're in districts that could vote Republican. So they're afraid that if they lined up with the New York City folks, that they will, in a general way, they will get trodden on.
Yes, but even if they are openly progressive, often they are on the take. I've heard that a very prominent New York City politician purports to be hyper-progressive and a tale of two cities, yet he's on the take from the real estate industry.
And that's a big problem.
Yes, it is,
course.
especially given the fact that he's saying one thing and acting in the opposite way.
And they can, as long as whatever it is doesn't come to a vote, they can say everything they want, anything they want to anybody that comes into their office and get away with it.
What would you say to people out there who live in other areas of the country, do not live in New York, and are thinking, my God, if the New Yorkers are afraid, what's going to become of us?
Well, the thing is, again, the things that can be done: organize, get involved with a political club.
Yes, but
get involved with.
if it's a progressive or a gay club, the police might raid it in these
But the thing is,
bastions of fascism.
but as I mentioned earlier, we have this idea of working together with the intersectionalities. Work with the African American community. Work with women. Work with the LGBTQ community. Work with the immigrant community. I, for instance, early on when there was some concern about women wearing hijab, I wore hijab for a week. Not because I'm Muslim, because I'm not.
But your hair was a mess, though.
No, but I did it to show solidarity
Yeah, I know.
with Muslim women who choose to wear hijab. Now, I know there's a big controversy
I
about
slept with
that.
a falafel dealer for the same reason. No.
There's a big controversy about that because in some cases, women are forced to wear hijab by their husbands, and that's something that not what I'm standing for. But many women who are Muslim choose to wear hijab on their own, and their fathers and husbands aren't making them. They do it because it's their way of expressing their religion, and that's perfectly fine.
Yes, it is. Although France, of course, has outlawed any kind of headgear denoting religion.
In France, they have a different culture, and the reason why they do that is that they're anti-religion in a general way.
Oh, I like these people.
Basically,
Égalité,
a
fraternité.
huge anti-clerical
What is?
movement against the
Don't
Catholic
think.
Church took hold in France, and they decided that
1789 hasn't been the same since.
everything is secular.
Yeah.
And so in France, religion is separate from,
I thought it was that way here too. Call me crazy.
well, no, it's more separate than it is. It's truly separate.
Yeah.
For instance, you want to get married, you have to have a civil ceremony, and then if you can have your religious ceremony. Totally separate
Sophia
things.
Loren only beat a bigamy charge when Giancarlo Ponti became French citizens and married in France, because in Italy, the Catholic Church said concubine, whoremonger, and they were going to arrest them.
Well, yeah. Well, the thing is that's it. Where you have the church, whatever church it is, where you allow churches to perform civil ceremonies for marriages, you're basically commingling church and state.
Mm-hmm.
And the state licenses ministers of religion to perform marriages, and then they're in an awkward situation because, well, what if a gay couple wants to get married and the particular minister or priest doesn't want to perform a marriage? Can they refuse? If they're licensed by the state, They could refuse to perform a religious ceremony, but they should not be allowed to refuse to perform a civil ceremony. So you have a Catholic priest performing a wedding, but not a Catholic marriage.
Yes. In other words, he's acting in his capacity as
A
an
representative
official, right.
of the state. Now, the thing is that by allowing ministers of religion to act on behalf of the state, even though they say, oh, well, your witnesses are the ones for the state. The point is that they're signing the marriage licenses. They should not have anything to do with the marriage licenses. It should be a situation where the marriage license is issued by the state.
Mm-hmm.
The marriage license is issued by the state. The state performs a civil ceremony, and then if you have a religion or you want to have a religious ceremony, you have a separate ceremony for your blessings and sacraments.
If people out there want to contact you, how can they do that?
They can contact me on the internet by at Joann MP. That's JOANN. M as in Marie, P as in Prinzivalli at outlook.com.
Okay, and I'm Diana Monford. This has been the Diana Monford Show. My guest has been transgender activist and New York politician, Ms. Joann Prinzivalli. She is, as we speak, the only transgender district leader in New York State and maybe in the U.S. I don't know. I'm Diana Monford, that I do know, and I love you a lot, even if no one else loves you. Screw them. You're great. They're wrong. I love you a lot, and I'll see you next time.